guys, it's Lisa here. It is Tuesday the 5th of June, so I'm just coming to you with my May stitching update. So I just thought I'd bring the little one here to say hi before I put her in her little crate downstairs so I can film the rest of this. So yeah, I'll put Daisy on. Daisy seems to be more popular than I do and always manages to steal the show. So so here she is, looking great as usual and her usual lovely little self. So so yeah, I just thought we'd bring her on and say hi before we... Oh, thanks. Thank you. I love you too. I do. Yes. Thanks. Before we start, so say hi, Daisy. Hi, Daisy. Oh, I'll catch you in a minute, guys. Well, there's Celebrity Daisy put back in a cage for a little while. So, in terms of life update, work has been insanely busy as always. I've had a haircut. I don't know whether you've noticed. So I wasn't doing a lot with my hair. Always tying it back for work, really. And you know, you just become a little bit lazy with your hair and your appearance, and you know, managing to have an extra hour, half hour in bed, so I didn't have to get up and do my hair on a morning. And I just thought, right, you know, you really do need to start investing a bit more time in yourself in terms of making yourself look half decent. So I decided, literally, as I was walking to the hairdresser's, that I'd get it cut shorter. So it's not like massively short, but yeah, it's shorter than I've been for a while, and because of that I'm having to do my hair and style it a little bit more on a morning. So so yeah, it's probably doing me a bit of good, to be fair. And work as usual has been insane, which has a knock-on impact on your ability to stitch. I mean, I must admit, I've been doing an awful lot more driving. We've got a big push on being out on the road with the teams. So obviously I have a team of 13 individuals, so they cover quite a huge geography of the north of the UK. So you know, I can find that I'm behind the wheel for up to 4 or 5 hours a day, and then I'm with my individual team member for the day. So you know, if I'm leaving the house at sort of 6-7 in the morning and not getting in till 6-7 on an evening, like, my desire to stitch is really not there. I mean, all I want to do is get something to eat and literally collapse in front of the TV or go to bed. So, you know, the fitness thing has waned slightly because of that. And I know that the more you exercise, the better you feel. So I did start this morning. I did get up a bit earlier this morning and went on the treadmill before I started work. So, yeah, you know, it's an admin day to day, so this is my lunch break, I'm able to upload. So I just need to make things work a little bit better for myself, really, and not feel as though I'm chasing my tail all of the time, which sometimes happens, doesn't it, with work. However, having said that, I do have a couple of finishes. One I finished earlier this month, and if you follow me on Instagram, so I'm Crafty Lisa 123 on Instagram, you will have seen this first finish that I've done. And it is my Primitive Hare All Salem Broom Company piece. So I'll put in a picture of where it was last time you saw it, and this is where I got to. Obviously it's finished. So I know when I uploaded last time, I'd done the bottom and up one of the sides, and I had the top and another side to finish in terms of the border. So I did that. I'm not kidding you, like, it almost ruined me. And you know, I always feel like this when I'm getting towards the end of a project, like, I want it finished, and then there always just seems to be like so many bits that need doing, and they always take time. It's always like the last little bit of detail where you think, right, I've just got a couple of stitches there, and it just takes time, doesn't it? So I end up getting really frustrated. Want to finish it, it's not anxiety, but start feeling all like, I don't know, horrible inside, and then when I finished it, it's just like, finish, and then I just sort of have a look at it, fold it up, and then stick it in you know, storage. You know, it goes in my drawer of shame with the rest of it. But yeah, I mean, this turned out an awful lot bigger. So this is stitched on the All Salem linen that was especially hand dyed by the Primitive Hare. It's a 30 count linen. I think it was tea and coffee dyed, because it did smell sort of quite pungent when I first got it, although yeah, it doesn't smell so much now. So it was stitched 2 over 2, so that makes it then a 15 count, doesn't it, with Gentle Art sampler threads in Raven and Nutmeg. So obviously the Nutmeg is the brown colour, which brings out some of the detailing in it. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. Obviously it's a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. It's pretty huge in terms of a finished piece. So I want, like, in terms of framing it, I do want to frame it myself, but I want sort of a bit of a distressed looking frame, like reclaimed wood type of look to it. So I don't know where I'm going to find that from, because it's no good putting something like that in a modern frame, because it is actually, you know, almost a stitched advert for an old-fashioned shop from the 1600s. So, you know, I do want to do something a little bit more creative with that, but, you know, until then, along with all the other finishes that I've done, it will sit in my drawer of shame. So that's that one. And then the second one I finished off my buttons and beads kit, and this is the Latte kit, and I'll show you where I was last time. I hadn't had a lot of this done, but I finished this over the weekend, and again it was one of those where the beading just seemed to take forever. I was just desperate to get it finished and ended up sort of feeling that sort of same frustration, but now it's done. So this will sit alongside my cappuccino piece. I know I mentioned before to you that I've shown you before that I'd finished it, so this will go with it. Yeah, so yeah, I mean it is what it is, isn't it? I mean, they never show sort of detail. You can't really see any of the beadwork on it particularly. I'll try and angle it, but there's a lot of beads on them, you know, if you stitch them, don't you, sort of what they involve. But yeah, I mean, they are what they are. I mean, I stitched it on the perforated paper that came with a kit. I quite like that for a change. You know, it's easy to see. I don't need my mag lights on, or, you know, my mag eyes for this. I can just wear my normal glasses. You don't need a frame. It's just one of those that you can sort of stitch in hand in front of the TV and just relax with. So I quite like them for that reason. It will be a while, as it was in between stitching the cappuccino piece and this, before I do another buttons and bead kit, but you know, they're okay out there to do. I quite like them. A nice quick easy finish. So in terms of progress on other pieces, I've worked on my Heaven and Earth design. So this is the Enchanted Christmas Ornament by Donna Glesinger. I'll put in a picture of what it will look like when it's finished and what it looked like last time you saw it. And this is where I am now. So let me just hold that up for you. So this is stitched on just simple Hare. It's an 18 count Hare, and this is stitched 2/1. So I like the smaller designs on the Hare. It's just easier to count. Obviously I am stitching my large one on 25 count even weave, but yeah, I mean, this is just a bit easier on the eyes, and obviously I wanted the overall design to be a little bit bigger. So in terms of where I've got to, I've kind of been working on this middle section there, which is fine. I think that's obviously the reindeer's nose there, his backside is there, so it's coming together. What I want to do with this over the next few weeks is just kind of not stop at this point, but not press on to any more pages, because I want to start to fill in some of the sections. Obviously I've got the toy section up there, which I've really avoided because it's got a lot of confetti in it. This page here is almost completely stitched, so I want to go back and just fill in the odd gap that I've got there with that, but I do really need to come back and finish off some of the confetti heavy areas, rather than pressing on to, you know, to get sort of areas where there's more coverage to get the progress in. So that will be my plan for this piece. So hopefully by the time you see it, I will have a few of these gaps filled in, and it'll look a little bit more like what it's supposed to look like, because it does look like really just several blocks of colour and not really a design. And you know, there is a reindeer in there somewhere. So that is the plan for that. And then finally we have my Autumn at Hawker and Hollow piece, and I'll put in a picture of where I was last time I showed you this. and this is my progress to date. So please forgive me, I've left it in the Q-snap. I was working on it last night and I may pick it up again this evening. And there's quite a lot of material, you know the size of it, there's a lot of material gathered within this Q-snap. So this is where I am now. So I've managed to make some decent progress on this second block. It's surprising how long this takes. There's a lot of detailed stitching within there. I don't know if you can see that well. This is stitched fully in MPI silks. It's stitched 1/2 on 40 counts vintage country mocha linen, and I got that from so and so. So yeah, I wanted to make sure that the squares were small enough because I only wanted to use one strand of MPI silks on it, obviously, because they're incredibly expensive, and I just wanted to make sure that I would have enough for the entire piece without having to spend even more money. So I know I mentioned last time I saw you that I was thinking of investing in all of the silks and getting everything that I needed, but then I knew that so and so didn't have all of the silks that I would need on their website, and in fact I was actually missing 6 of the shades. And at the time I spoke to you, I'd been stung with custom charges on shipping some cabochons for jewellery making from the US, and they charged me, I don't know, a ridiculous amount of money to actually go and free them from the post office. So I was really quite keen not to get stuck with charges. So following uploading my last update, a lovely lady called Denise, hi Denise if you're watching, contacted me from Canada and said to me that she's an expat from the UK who lives over in Canada. She was visiting her local L&S over the coming days, and she was planning actually then a visit to the UK to come and see family, and she has a house here that I know she wanted to do some work on, and could I let her know what silks I needed, and then she would go and, obviously I paid in advance, she would pick them up for me, and then she would bring them to the UK, and that's what she did. And I was so unbelievably touched by that somebody would go out of their way in that way for me, and she obviously saved me a small fortune in terms of shipping and custom charges from Canada. And yeah, so she bought them from Traditional Stitches over in Canada. I think it's in Calgary. Is it Calgary? Oh, somewhere like that, I think it is. And then she landed in the UK a few weeks ago and then put them straight in the post and sent them up to me. And we were hoping to catch up. She has relatives who live not that far away from me, maybe about 40 minutes up the road, but I think she's just had, well, I know from the last message I received from her, she's had a few things that have happened that have needed her attention, and we haven't had chance to catch up, and she's leaving and going back to Canada on Thursday. So I just want to say a massive thank you, Denise, for doing that for me. You have no idea how much I really appreciate it, and it just really shows. I mean, I know we always talk about the FlossTube community and what a lovely bunch of supportive guys we are to one another. I mean, that just kind of summed it up for me massively. So I did purchase all of the silks that I needed. They were the ones I was missing. I think I've already started to use a couple of the colours, so there was quite a lot. So I did heavily invest last month, so this is my only haul. And it'll be my only haul for a while because I'm really not, and these are the ones that Denise sent me across from Canada. There with my missing shades, so I can go back now and finish the pumpkins on that first block and put the brickwork in the house that I hadn't done last time. So I've kept those together, and I will think of you, Denise, as I use those skeins. But yeah, it's just such a lovely story of how we do try and support one another within the community. So thank you once again, Denise, so appreciated. And so plans we're on to now, aren't we, for June? So we're already into June, but as I said, I do have a couple of weeks off at the end of the month where I will be able to get up to speed with some stitching. So I want to work on my Enchanted Christmas ornament and do exactly what I said in terms of going back and filling in some of the gaps that I haven't done. I want to work on this. I'd like to get those 2 blocks completely finished, go back and do what I couldn't do because I didn't have the silks in the first block, and get this block finished, and then we'll see how we move with that one. I might manage to stitch the outline for the next block, we'll see, but there's no real rush with that one. I want to work on my other Heaven and Earth piece, which is my Steam Heart by Chris Ortega. I'd like to, you know, get that bit more moving. I did talk about those 4 pages on the side that I'd like to get done by year end. I want to kind of make a bit of progress with that, and to be honest, I'm quite keen to pick that up and stitch it, because obviously I haven't touched it since my last update, so I really want to do that. And then I'd like to introduce another small, and these are the ones that I said I wanted done for Christmas as well, so it's one of the little Country Cottage Needleworks pieces, so it's the Merry Christmas My Dear. This is all pretty much kitted up. I do have the spotted fabric, it's not the exact right colour, it's one that I picked up from so-and-so, so I do have that kitted up. I've got everything here ready in little bags, so there's my DMC floss ready to go. I'd kind of already pull that out, so DMC is ready to go, and then the classic Colourworks colours that I needed for that. So what have I got? Lemongrass, Brown Bear and Licorice. Is that Licorice Red? Yeah, Licorice Red, so that'll be pretty. So I'd like to make some decent headway on that small piece. I do have a couple of those, as you know, for Christmas that I'd like to get done as well, so yeah, I mean, you never know, I might be able to get a finish in with that towards as I upload again. So in terms of stitching, that is it. I mean, in terms of the upload itself, that's pretty much it. I want to say thank you to everybody who has supported me in terms of my Etsy shop that I set up, and the link for it is below if anybody's interested. As you know, I did kind of let everybody know that I was going to do this. I do make cards and I do make jewellery, so thank you for everybody who's kind of gone on there and given me some positive feedback. Thank you to those guys who have gone on and bought a couple of items from there. I set up some kits based on my last upload where I put up a basic Kumihimo bracelet upload, so thank you for everybody who's gone on and watched that and commented, and I really appreciate your support on that, because it's always a little bit, not difficult, but you never know how it's going to be perceived when you've been on YouTube for coming up a couple of years, you know, for FlossTube, and then you start to branch out into other areas. You never know how that's going to go down with the community that you're already established and a part of, but also, you know, out and beyond that. Obviously there's lots of jewellery makers, there's lots of card makers out there, and I obviously there was the debate of whether or not I kept my channel as one or split it off into different, but I decided not to do that. The other uploads are there, you either watch them or you don't. Do you know what I mean? There's no obligation. You know, we kind of watch what we want from one another, don't we? I mean, I have my sort of dedicated people who I always watch. I might not watch every single one of the uploads, but I do my best to watch as much of it as I can, you know, and show support. So, and also the other side of it is often people are multi-crafters anyway, and those that make jewellery might do needlepoint, or card make might do needlepoint. And the other side of it is I might be able to bring more people into FlossTube who hadn't really thought of cross stitch or embroidery or anything like that, who might see other uploads that I've done, even if they're just specifically looking at jewellery, who might think, gosh, what a nice community, you know, I might become part of that myself. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I've gone in my own head in terms of thought. So thank you for those, you know, thank you all for supporting me. Thank you for those who have commented. Thank you for those who have bought from my Etsy shop. You have no idea how much I appreciate that. And yeah, I mean, just a huge thanks in general for subscribing, for your lovely comments in general on everything that I do. I know we all say this, but it's the reason why we do it, isn't it? So yeah, I'm just starting to ramble, so I'm going to stop it there. But yeah, thank you so much for stopping by and spending some time with me. I really appreciate it. I'm now going to go and do some work again. I've got my May expenses to submit into the system, so I'm going to go and sit and do that. Woohoo! You know, as much as I want to do stitching, I'm going to have to walk away from it now and leave it and do some real work. But I will catch you all soon, probably more than likely after I've had my break, my summer break, June, July time. So I'll be back with a FlossTube update probably the end of the first week of July, and I am planning on uploading at least 1 or 2 more kind of jewellery type uploads. So yeah, I mean, if you want to stop by and watch those, you are more than welcome, and I'll probably see you then. So take care guys, thanks a lot, and I'll see you soon. See you later, bye.